So I have the toughest job of the night, I think. I'm after a couple of very amazing speakers, and of course, right before dinner. So they're like, yeah, go on, so we can eat. So I thought I'd share with you my journey. And while I'm not Captain America, I'll tell you though, I do have a superpower, and I'll demonstrate it to you a little later. Okay? You'll have to guess it as I tell you my story what the superpower is. Okay? So this is my history. I was born in India, and my family did construction. And when I was 8 years old, my family moved to Iran. And in 1979, when I was 11 years old, they had a revolution, and they kicked out most of the foreigners. And my family then ended up in a place called Fort McMurray, Alberta. It's like way north in Alberta. It's like really, really cold. It was minus 35 degrees the first day we ended up there. Minus 35 degrees, really cold. And that's what my family did there. We made bridges. And that town, where we first ended up, had 8,000 people. They were all white. There was one family, Chinese family, that ran a Chinese restaurant, and us. And we were the token dark family in that. So we were the Hispanics, we were the Negroes, we were the Pakis, we were the anything and everything that you can call a dark person, we were it. I remember a young kid telling me a few years ago about how tough it is for kids these days because of 9/11. And I thought, no, it's exactly the same. In 1979, when we came from Iran, the people that did the Islamic Revolution held a few dozen, maybe a few hundred, I think a few dozen American citizens at the American embassy as hostage. And that created a lot of tension and a lot of stress, and a huge backlash against anybody that looked different and dark and Muslim from that part of the world. And it wasn't just in America, it was the exact same thing in Canada. So we went through the same kind of backlash that Sikhs in America went through after 9/11. Except today, I'm very proud. Anytime somebody asks me, especially when a Sikh asks me, where are you from? They get a chance to travel all over the world, and if I'm in Malaysia or Thailand, or I'm in England or Germany, and I go to the Gurdwara and the Sikh asks me, so where are you from? And I very proudly tell them I'm from Canada. Because the Sikhs of Canada, from that time till today, have made a presence in that country that's unparalleled for Sikhs anywhere in the world. The Defense Minister of Canada is a Sikh, an Amritdhari Sikh. The Minister of Industries is an Amritdhari Sikh. The Minister of Infrastructure is a Sikh. And the Minister of Tourism is a Kaur Sikh. How cool is that? Vishwajit Singh was mentioning earlier that he wanted to see a Sikh in the Olympics. 2 Olympics back, Canada had a turbaned Sikh boxer who actually was in the Olympics. So Canadian Sikhs have made a lot of progress, but we've also gone through our difficulties. And coming to this little town of 8,000 people, where nobody knew what we were, was a very sort of interesting experience for me personally. And what made the difference for me was that somehow my mother convinced me that we were special. She said, "You are the sons," talked to us, the kids, me, my brother, and my sisters. She said, "You guys are the sons and daughters of Guru Gobind Singh. And everything you do in life will not reflect on you, and nobody will remember who you are. They will remember what a son or a daughter of Guru Gobind Singh did. So everything you do in life, remember that that's who you will reflect." You know, last couple of days, I don't know you guys have seen in the media, there's been this thing about Obama's daughter and her party. I don't know if anybody's seen that in the last week. I don't even know her name, except I know that it was Obama's daughter. Right? Nobody will remember who I am or was or so on. If I do something in life, it will represent who my father is. And if you discover and you decide for yourself that you're not just an average person, 1 out of 7 billion people that live on this earth right now, that you are so special. You're not Obama's kid, who cares? You're the kid of the King of Kings, the greatest king that ever was. How cool is that? How cool is that? If you decide that for yourself, then you will live your life with the confidence, and you will live your life with the success that a son and a daughter of Guru Gobind Singh. When we used to get beat up or bullied in school and we'd come home crying, my mom used to speak at us and say, "Rondeo, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕਰਮਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਾਜ ਭਾਗ ਲਿਖੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰੋਂਦੇ ਹੋ?" And at that age, it was tough to understand that. But over my life, actually, you know what? I apologize if this sounds egotistical. I've discovered that I'm the son of Guru Gobind Singh, and mere karma ch raj bhag likhe hoye ne, irrespective of what anybody believes or not. This is what my family looks like. That's my dad. That's my mom. She has her own website, by the way. You can go to parveenkaur.com, and she paints paintings and does 3-4 exhibitions a year, and she writes books and poetry and stuff like that and so on. And that's my brother and my sisters. And then the bottom row is my wife and my kids. A big moment for me, of course, also as for many Sikhs around that time, was 1984. In 1984, when the attack on the Wazab happened, I started to explore and discover Sikhi in a very different kind of way. In 1986, 2 years later, when I was still 17, I decided to take Umrah. And the little town we were in, first had no clue what a Sikh was. The idea that now I was going to end up in school with a kirpan was very strange to me. Just couldn't tolerate it, couldn't imagine how that would be possible. And my parents, this good middle class family, really didn't want me to wear a kirpan. Because they said, "Look, you've got 3 months left to finish high school. You will lose your scholarship, you will not graduate, and you will not end up going to university. Why give up all of that? Everything we've sacrificed to bring you to this country and give you an education, you're going to give that up." So I went around in a minivan to little towns in BC, which had little Sikh communities, a few hundred families here and a few hundred families, Quesnel and Kamloops and so on. I would leave on a Friday night, I would come back on Sunday night, 17-year-old, my own little van. I'd go to the Gurdwara, do a speech, and start knocking on people's doors and say, "I'm trying to raise money to fight a case to wear my kirpan, court case to wear my kirpan in school." And my success ratio was about 20%. But 80% of the people would say, "Go listen to your parents. What are you doing? Forget about this thing." And when you're in Rome, do as Romans do was the common things that get told. But I had by that time discovered that I'm special. I'm Guru Gobind Singh's son. And if Baba Jujhar Singh was in this situation, he would have taken a stand. And I'm not going to let this be. And Guru Sahib did his bakshish. In this little town that had no idea who we were, the judge ruled in my favor and said it will be better for society and the students around him to discover what the richness of Sikhism is, the way he's told us in court, and he ruled in my favor. And that was the very first case in 1986 in Canada for wearing kirpan in school. There were other cases that got tested. The government in Quebec tested this further. And a few years ago, the Supreme Court of Canada unanimously ruled allowing the kirpan in school in Canada. So this struggle of Sikhs in Canada has been going on for a while, and we've been very lucky. I'll tell you a little bit about my personal life before I jump into the business life. Two things form the core of my personal life these days. One's Kirtan. My kids do Kirtan. My wife does Kirtan, teach Kirtan, so on. And the second is Amrit. What I discovered was that this struggle, Sangarsh, for Sikhs is not just external, it's internal. And we did talk about the idea of discipline. And one of the most difficult things to get disciplined about is waking up at 3 in the morning. But that's what we decided to do a few years ago. The gumbad and thing you see on the side is a large Gurumaj Valakamra we built in our house. And then we posted it on websites around our community. And we said, anybody and everybody, please show up. 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. every day. We'll do our Suneet Sahib, we'll do Simran, we'll do Nitnem, come join us. And with Guru's Kripa, we get about 15, 20 people, about 5, 6 families that show up every day. If you're ever in Toronto, on weekends we do it at the Gurdwaras and so on, but Monday to Friday, if you're ever in Toronto, and you've got the energy at 3 a.m., come join us. You can type in Suneet Singh Villa on Google and you'll find my address and my phone number, and you can come join us. But that realization, coming back to realizing who my father is, has had such a huge impact on my life that I cannot tell you how blessed I am. And when I look at every one of you, I beg of you to come to that realization. Because the blessings start when you come to that realization. So I'll tell you about my business career. My very first business, 1990. Most of you kids are so young. 1990 is like way, way long ago. This was in the day and age when there's no internet. There's no such thing as the internet back then. People only had fax machines. And my family was in the construction business. So my brother built a fax machine for construction documents, for big size documents. And wanted to figure out how to take this to market. And I had done civil engineering, my background wasn't sales or marketing. But I thought, hey, to get publicity, I gotta have a gimmick around this. And a gimmick would be if I can get the Guinness Book of Records to recognize this as the world's biggest fax machine, and I'll then send press releases out and I'll get coverage and so on. And I wrote to the Guinness Book of Records, and their first reaction was no. So we're the ones, if you have the longest nails or the longest hair, or you can do jumping jacks for longer than anybody else, we do that. We don't do technical kind of products. Then I took a picture of our whole team standing around this big fax machine, and I sent that in again. Why I sent that picture? Because I said, oh, they just see my name. They haven't seen me, they don't know who I am. They gotta see who I am. Once they realize that I'm the son of Guru Gobind Singh, they will change their mind. That's exactly what happened. So you'll have to guess a little later on what my superpower is, by the way. Okay? So you gotta keep thinking what the superpower is. And that was the first hint to me about the superpower. My second business built portable scanners and printers. In my current business, we make tablet computers and smartphones, primarily for education in developing countries. So India is a big market for us. We work throughout Africa and Latin America, and we try to give internet connectivity to people that can't afford good quality education. But the key concepts that make that business were driven from what I learned my whole life about what Sikhi is about. So a lot of these concepts you hear about, sometimes they seem not as concrete. You don't know how to apply them, right? How do you actually apply them in your daily life? And I think that you can apply them to every aspect of what you do, no matter where you are. What I discovered was that when we do ardas and we say Guru Nanak Naam Chardhi Kala Tere Pane, Sarbat Da Phala, that it's not an ask from Guru Maharaj. We're not asking Guru Maharaj to do Sarbat Da Phala. Actually, it's an instruction to us that Guru Maharaj has given us that instruction. We're not going to be 7 billion Sikhs around the world. We're going to be this little tiny minority that's been put in this earth for a certain purpose. And the funny thing is that we don't understand that purpose and we've forgotten that purpose. And our purpose is exactly this. Our purpose is Sarvat Da Phala. We decided that education would be it because education relieves poverty, it alleviates poverty, and this is the area we decided to focus on. So instead of a one-way prayer, the realization that this is an obligation to act, Guru Maharaj tells us, Deha Shiva Barmohi Hai, Shubh Karna Tekka Punar. What is Guru Gobind Singh Ji asking for God, from God? Give me the strength that I don't shy away from doing the right thing. When somebody in your class needs help with their homework, guess what? You can't say no. When somebody in your class is getting bullied, even if the bully is stronger than you can't ignore it. Because you are the sons and daughters of Guru Gobind Singh, you have to make that effort to do the right thing and help them out. That's what you have to do. That's your job. Guru Maharaj tells us, which dunya se kumaiye, tan darge besan paiye. If we focus on selfless service while we are here, the implications carry on forward. Gurmukar kamavani sach kat प्रगट हुए अंतर जिसके सच वसै सच्चे सच्ची सोए. Over the years, we've all heard the Sakhis of Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Sacha Sauda. Sacha Sauda about Guru Nanak Dev Ji, about how he ran this grocery store and he was known as the most honest of honest people and how he built the grocery store. When we started building these tablet computers, we had to figure out what the right price was. We could build a $200 device and we could build a $500 device. And everybody wanted to build a device that competed against the iPad, right? That was the most popular product and everybody wanted to make the next iPad. And I thought, hang on. Even though if I made it for a certain price, the profits are a lot larger, my target customer can't afford it, and I'm not being honest to that customer, and I'm not being honest to my business if I price it like that. Because what I discovered was, one day reading Gurbani, what I discovered was that Guru Maharaj tells me how to price my product, and I'll explain Samaj doesn't tell you how to price your product. Doesn't say it anywhere in Gurbani, and I'll prove it to you. So this idea of Sach is very interesting, because when you read Gurbani, Sach is not just the spoken word. It's not about, hey, I told the truth. This concept of truthful living and truthful action is very important then. And I'm going to read you this few books that explain this concept. Vapari Vanjarya Aye Vajos Likhaye Kar Kamave Sach Ki Laha Milay Rajaye Punji Sachi Gur Milay Na Tis Dil Na Tamaye. And then when you read this, the last line, Punji Sachi Gur Milay, not this Til Na Tamaye, is translated below in English. I realize it's too small to read, but with the merchandise of truth, they meet the Guru who does not have a trace of greed. Gurbani tells us in that very first line, it says, the merchant and the traders have come, their profits are preordained. I actually took that to heart. I said, hang on, as long as I cover the cost of my product and I make it affordable for the customer, if my profit's already preordained, why am I determining the profit? Let my Guru figure it out. He's going to tell me how much money I make or not or whatever. I'm going to go create this product for the purpose that's intended. And that's all that matters. And I know that sounds silly, but I'll show you the impact in a few slides. I learned some very interesting things from my wife. One of the interesting concepts I learned from her was this concept of this one. We've all heard about this one, right? It's 10%. But she actually keeps a ledger. She puts down accounts. And I said, hang on, you're not supposed to be keeping record of this. She said, no, I want to make sure my 10% is dealt with. And she doesn't do the 10% just on income, she does it on time. And this is very important for the kids in here. When you think about this one, it's not solely about, hey, when I make money, I'm supposed to donate 10% of it. It's what do you do with your time? And if you have the discipline to write down, this is what I've done with my time, and you take 10% of your time to do seva, the impact of that is so broad and so amazing that it's tough to describe. I truly believe in my life that when I've followed this principle, things have gone really well. And when I've not followed it, things have just not gone well. I don't know why, but this is my personal experience. And I'm a big believer in this concept of this one. So what you guys should be doing? Take that 10% of your time, find friends and others in your class who need help with their homework. Go to the local park and pick up garbage. For those that are a little older, we do this in Toronto all the time. A bunch of Sikh youth get together, they go downtown, they feed the homeless. Go do some seva in the Gurdwara. Do whatever you want to do. But decide that 10% of your time is towards the Guru. And if you develop that concept, the impact on your personal lives and your business is huge. So this is my secret advantage. I get a chance these days to go around talking to MBA classes in universities and so on, and they talk about business and frugal innovation and things of that nature. And they ask me, so what's the secret? What's the secret to success? My experience, my superpower, my secret to success? Guys, guess? It's anybody? being Guru Gobind Singh Ji's son. Because Guru Gobind Singh Ji gave me this dastar, gave me this beard, and Guru Gobind Singh Ji told me that Khalsa Mero Roop Hai Khas. That this Swaroop is not mine, it is Guru Gobind Singh Ji's Swaroop. And that, I discovered, was a strategic advantage. When I launched my products, when the Guinness Book of Records said no and I sent them the picture, they found that picture so interesting, they decided to create a category for the world's biggest and smallest facts and put that picture in there in 22 million copies in 18 languages that got distributed around the world. When I launched these tablets, just low-cost tablet computers, it's not like I'm the only one in the world that's making low-cost tablet computers. There's others that make cheap tablet computers. What's the big deal? The amount of coverage that I received is huge. Huge, unimaginable. Magazine covers and full-page articles and so on and so on and so on. That was my superpower. This identity, this unique identity, is my superpower, and because I realize I have the superpower, I actually use it. Right? What's the use of a superpower if you don't know that you have it and you don't know how to use it? This was a very interesting concept that over the years I discovered is so important. This concept of Sangat is so critical. What I discovered was that Sangat isn't just a bunch of us getting together in the Gurdwara and doing Kirtan, and that's the Sangat. What I discovered was that having this Swaroop made me part of a family, and the most difficult times of my life, somebody held me by my arm and got me up and supported me from the Sangat. People that I didn't know, sometimes known to me, sometimes not known to me, made the effort to help me out for the sole reason that I had a dastar in my head. And if you have a dastar in your head, wherever you go in life, when another Gursikh sees you, they will make the effort to help you out. Because you are my brother and you are my sister. And because we're part of that same family. The power of the power of Sangat is huge. Can I ask the kids in here,